This part of the lecture is continuing on discussion with CN. This time we're dealing with strings rather than ints and floats and chars. Just talking a little bit about the extraction operator and how it works in strings. Now with integers and floats, it reads the values until it makes sense. A string variable doesn't care about what the contents it's reading. It just reads until it reaches white space. So that's the difference. You've got you can input a string using that greater than symbol, the extraction operator. It'll just read in this case, if there's a string message, CN message will read in a value from the keyboard or from a file and then print the message to the screen. It does skip white space and blanks, so if you're typing the values from the keyboard and you hit a space, then that word is what gets stored into that variable name. Now the white space character doesn't get consumed or added. It doesn't get consumed. It does not also get stored into the variable, the string variable. It just stops reading when it gets to that character. So if you have this as the input stream, some white space, a name, another space, what would the stream values be for this read? First name and last name. So when it reads it, with these input values, it's going to skip the white space, and then first name would get the value Joe, stops at the space, doesn't read that into the first name variable though, and then Hernandez goes into last name, stops at the space. Even if you've got a value initialized into the first name, this read will overwrite it. And you don't have to worry about number of characters in the previous store. It'll just overwrite the whole thing. Getline is a function that you can use with CN to read the entire line up until that new line character is read. And the new line character is just when someone's hit the enter key. So an entire line of data, it's going to ignore white space, tabs, spaces. It'll read whatever it is, numbers, letters, digits, any combination as text. The syntax is getline. First argument is always CIN, and then the second argument, the second variable or value you're going to put in there, the second literal that you type, is going to be the variable that you want it to be stored into. So it doesn't skip leading white space. The new line gets consumed, that \n, whenever that person hits the enter, that gets consumed by getline, but it doesn't get stored in the variable name. So basically it gets thrown away. So here's an example. I've got first name and last name, and I'm using getline instead of CN. So getline, first name grabs the entire first line, and if there's only one line of text, then that's what gets stored in it. Joe Hernandez 23, with the white space that's leading, gets stored in that first variable. And we're not sure if there's more data. Right now it looks like there isn't, so we don't know what would go in there. If you had a get line and there was no more data, the program actually would crash and give you an error.